Wow. Okay. Oh, what do we got here? Oh. Hello, everybody. It's Brian. Hello. Um, I should let the timer go down to zero, but yeah, I'm like, I really want to get on, and I've wasted 10 minutes while y'all were waiting for the start, thing to start. So, I know that that's not the case for every Twitch streamer, where it's like, they have a countdown and then it goes to zero, and then it's like another 5 to 10 minutes before they actually get on. I'm actually sitting here champing at the bit, waiting for the start stream to start. But everything I've read on Twitch says you should give people a little time before they show up, so that way, it should be running for a few minutes, so that way you're not, wasting additional time and effort. Because I guess the majority of people join 10 to 15 minutes into the conversation or the discussion. I don't know. It is on our calendar. So, yeah. I'm going to shut my door first. Just one second. I know the minute I do that, my cats will come yowling. So let me see. What do we want to talk about today? Oh, really? I didn't know that. Okay. All right, Lady P. I did not know that. That's good to know. I figured once the stream elements shipped, then um, the system ran too. So, I, hmm, interesting. Yeah, I'll have to see if there's a better way of doing that. So, oh, really? Okay. Well, that would explain the wait 10 minutes thing, because it takes about 10 minutes to get all of the emails out to the followers or to people who are subscribing or what have you. So, oh, speaking of subscribers, let me see. We have Cheddar Bob. Welcome to Cheddar Bob and Mickey Mouse Ops. Okay, appreciate that. Appreciate the both of them for following, and appreciate their joining us here on doing things that are security. And of course, Lady P is here. Thank you, Lady P, for joining and hanging out. And I so little news, the Harvard Business School came back and said, hey, uh, you qualify for our class, which I assume they take anybody that throws a little cash their way. I would imagine there's not a huge barrier to entry to the online courses that I've signed up for. I know I'm not sharing my screen yet, so I filled those out, and I'm going to be starting class on the 19th of August, or October. Shit. Oh, okay. Bless me. So yeah, I'm going to learn organizational leadership. The thing was, the email I got today said, oh wait, let me go read that. I'll read it without sharing my screen, because obviously sharing my Gmail, I'm sure there's security people out there that are fiending about things. Let me see. Yes. One, hey, congratulations, you've been accepted. Yeah, 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 yeah. Which I thought was funny. You're eligible to enroll in the Harvard Business School's online leadership program. It is what it is. So I went in and I was looking at some of the if you go into my dashboard and you go and you read the orientation page, they're like, it's very much like it was with University of Phoenix when I did that, where it was, there's a cohort, there's a group of people. Lady P, I'm doing, there we go. So it's a leadership and management certification course. I had thought about going to someplace like WGU or something, get my MBA. Had been talking to my wife and the good Dr. Break and a couple of other folks, and they're like, yeah, I'm not sure an MBA would help you much in some respects, depending on what you want to do. And if I could be completely honest, I'm looking, my next job, I would like it to not be a strictly security role. That's fair. It's fair to say. I'm not disenchanted with security. I find that in the 20 plus years that I've been working in infosec or security, the needle hasn't changed much. The technologies have gotten different. The attacks haven't. As long as we have users, we'll continue to have attacks. And so I'm taking this organizational leadership role course, 7 weeks, 6 to 8 hours a week. If it's anything like, there's Joshua Margolis and Anthony Mayo. I heard they run hot or cold, Lady P. My worry about at least the certificate program here was, will people just see Harvard Business School and not really give it what it's I don't know if a certificate program is, because at this point, if I get this certificate, which requires me to take 2 more of these classes in an 8-week span, I'll have certifications, I'll have a certificate, and I'll have a degree. And I don't know if it's worth the money. That didn't come out right. I'm not sure if people will take it seriously. There you go. I have heard other certificate programs like becoming a project manager certificate or what have you. I think the big issue is people want the PMP, but a PMP is a bitch. It's not an easy test to take. The CISP now is not an easy test to take. But ideally, I would love for my next position at whatever company it is, if it's not the current company that I'm at right now or what have you, to not necessarily be in a security role. Because I had a thought the other day. It was like, what does I may have mentioned this on the stream once before or in chat, but what is it like to not think what can go wrong at a job? Product people, marketing people, PMs who don't do security. What is it like for them? What does the world feel like to them when they just want to create this cool tool and the thing, and and then everything's all happy and rainbows and unicorns farting, rainbows and shit like that, and then they see security, and security's black cloud. Security's ants in your picnic and flying your Chardonnay and shit, and it's like doom and gloom, and here's what's going to go bad and everything. And then of course they want to avoid us because we are the Department of No. Or the way that we deliver it maybe isn't palatable to them. And so, I've wondered what it's like to live on that side of the fence, if you will. Whether it be a product management or what if your marketing objective fails? What if you don't make your sales numbers? See, I don't think they have. Yeah, I mean, that's a good point, Lady P. That's a good point. If you don't make your sales numbers, you probably don't get your first prize, a set of steak knives, or you don't get your cup of coffee. So that's an old term. Coffee's for closers. I guess you're right, Lady P. They have different things that they worry about or things that they deal with. Their marketing objectives might fail because of somebody else's, issues or what have you. So you're right. And I'm more than willing to concede that the grass may not be greener on that side of the fence. It may actually be more complicated than security, and it may actually be more of a challenge because it will require me or others to embrace a different method of doing things. But I've always been interested in building out more of my manager side anyway. So, yeah, looking at this, they have a course syllabus, of course, they said, I think around module 4, week 4 or 5 or something. Yeah, project week. Here it is. So the problem is, and again, this is the security side of me. Harvard Business School is like, hey, what company do you work for? And I'm like, should I really mention that? Is it something that needs to be known? If I worked for Joe Bob's, Crab Shack as, the head, chum person, is it the same as where I work at as a senior TPM? And it's like, does it matter? Why do they want that information? And again, there goes the security shit. It's like, what do they need that information for? So project week is something that occurs in all of these classes. And it's like identify performance or opportunity gap within your division, unit, organization, drawing on lessons from leaders, beacon, or architect. The idea is you're supposed to work with members of your team to develop a plan, or like it says, a plan of action to find a performance or an opportunity gap. And I'm like, that just doesn't happen here at my org. And I'm not exactly sure how much I can actually talk about at my org, about my org. So what I'm hoping is when we get to that point, then I'll be able to, hopefully somebody else will pipe up and I'll be able to, use those items. And, we'll talk about, root cause analysis and networking activities. I've already told my boss, I was like, yeah, I'm not sure what all I can bring back from this, but I definitely want to do this class and those classes anyway, because not every place is the fishbowl that this place is. So, yeah. So yeah, that's the super happy fun times for that. And so let me see. We had, I wanted to mention Mr. McGovern, who comes up with a lot of excellent discussions on Twitter. God damn it, just give me what I want. Thank you. All right. Blink. There we go. So he put out this old chestnut that we've heard multiple times. InfoSec is a cost center or drain on expenses. And, just like my thought of what's it like outside of security, what's it like outside of InfoSec? I'm sure companies say things about other various parts of their organization, but this one always seems to be one that InfoSec thought leaders like to bandy about, that old sacred, cow of, until we figure out how to not be a cost center or drain on expenses, we're always going to be taken seriously. And, are we any more a cost center than any other department? I'm sure marketing has had their share of poor, like Lady P says here, poor, marketing objectives, or the salespeople don't make their numbers. Do we start laying off salespeople, or salespeople that are not performing get the axe because they affect the business just as much as security does. So I I worry about these sacred terms and words that we use, because October's coming up. It is InfoSec Education Month, or Security Awareness Month. Ideally, everybody's going to go through their security awareness trainings and what have you. So Lady P says, absolutely. We ask them if they're not making numbers. I consider security an opportunity center, neither cost nor profit. what do you consider to be an opportunity there, Lady P, in terms of um, uh, an opportunity for what? To make money? To uh, a lot of people see security as the insurance of the company. It's like you don't really care about it until something bad happens, and then you're glad you have it. But you can go years without anything happening that's bad. So why are we investing in a bunch of stuff that hasn't happened yet? Um, I just, I feel for I feel for Frank, and I feel for all of us who constantly are told that we're a cost center and that we have to make the business see things differently. And I'm like, I don't see how we're doing that, and I don't see people having the ability to do that. It's we're stuck with the same you know little tidbits or little fortune cookie type, infosec is a cost drain. Okay, great. We can't really do anything about that because we're constantly told like that. Yep, insurance is an opportunity it may or may not present. If it does, you're happy you have it. If you don't, the opportunity associated with the downtime is substantial. That is very true. Yeah. My worry is that let me see. How long is it before we've had InfoSec thought leaders saying things like InfoSec is a cost center or drain on expenses, and people start believing it? The other thing that I'm remembering is we have you have you have media people who are in InfoSec talking about our skills, and there are so many jobs available in security, but there's no people to fill them. And it's like, how do we say that because we're trying to put the onus on the security people to get more people into security, or is it a function of people trying to cast blame where it is the easiest? I guess. Oh, yeah, I can see that. That makes a lot of sense for both processes here. InfoSec is a drain on expenses. It's easy to blame security for those things because it's hard to prove a negative, right? No, we're not. No, we're not a cost drain. We're an opportunity cost. Okay, then prove it. Okay, well, when something bad happens, we'll be here to say I told you so. Same thing for the talent gap / shortage, right? Hiring gap or shortage. There's so many talented, people out there that already have jobs, and we're having issues with employment. Yeah, I mean, I'd love to hear other thoughts there, Lady P. Thank you for your insights. One of the things that I'm about to go up against at work here is we're trying to hire people, even in this economic downturn, whatever the hell they're wanting to call it this week. The big issue is, they want to hire, 40, 50 people. I have thoughts about the firewall thing too. We have people at work and they're like, oh yeah, we're just going to hire a bunch of people to do stuff. And I'm like, are we going to hire a bunch of people? Because from what I've heard, we have, too many jobs and not enough people. And hey, Kimisek, with your maximum emojis, appreciate that. Thank you so much, Kimisek. We're talking about some of the sacred cash, not sacred cash cows, but the little tidbit sayings that we hear from every InfoSec thought leader or conference, professional conference speaker that come out and they say things like InfoSec is a cost center or what have you there, Kimisek. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. If we hear it enough and from the right people in our industry, do we believe it? We have people that are, 25, 50,000 followers on Twitter. They say something and immediately it gets clout, whether they believe it or not, or whether they want it to be that way or not. I think that by us constantly saying exactly what Frank is tired of hearing us say, we are perpetuating our own downfall. Whoo, Lady P, that is yes, that's a very spicy take. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that one will probably get me banned from Twitter at some point, or delisted, or what have you. So yeah, and I'm not even popular enough to stand that tidal wave. But when we have our own quote unquote thought leaders saying these kinds of things, what are we to do? Is that their opinion, and we, take their opinions too seriously? I we're finally getting to the point where we've got some people that are saying it's not the talent shortage, it's not talent gap, it's not the shortage of people, and we need more people. It's there are companies that don't know how to fucking hire people, right? And until we do things like help ourselves internally by raising the flag of saying, hey, look, our job description blows, and none of the things that are in the job description are things that I do. So why are we hiring for people to do things that aren't in the job description, or requiring people to network in security just so they can get the lowdown on what the real job is like, because the job description is complete shit. I'm not a thought leader, never tried to be, but it just seems to me those are just a few little things that we can do. Kimasek, not to get off on yet another tangent, but the thought leader thing is apparently we laugh at it in InfoSec, but there are some industries that actually embrace that term, and I don't know how or why. So, but yeah, I mean, if you like professional organizations, another one we can't talk about, is security even a specialty? You know what? I need to write this shit down, because Lady P has got a bunch of them. I may need to have Lady P come back on our stream for like an official podcast thing, because these are real good. Yeah, I've seen it at, let me see. I was looking at a conference on project management, like a project management conference. There was some IoT conferences that I was looking at maybe going to because of my job and stuff. And yeah, oh my God, so many thought leaders. So many thought leaders. Oh, thanks, Artunden. Thank you so much for the follow. Appreciate that. Arlunden. There, Arlunden. There we go. Thank you so much for the follow. Appreciate that. But yeah, yeah, and yeah. Welcome. Yeah. I can't type. Either that or the keyboard is garbage. So. Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying not to get ranty here, but there's thanks to cybersecurity is a specialty for now that will eventually be weaned off. Okay. Oh, so the person art imitates life. Frank is actually in our chat right now. Welcome, Frank. Yeah, so cybersecurity is a specialty for now, but will eventually be weaned off. So Frank, are you looking at it more like a trade school kind of thing, or I mean, ideally, I would see it as a trade school kind of thing, or I think a lot of IT could be narrowed down to like a trade school or a journeyman kind of thing. I'd actually really like to see more companies try to figure out real legitimate, what do they call that? Legitimate junior positions without needing. And again, this goes back to the companies saying that there's a talent shortage or a hiring shortage and we don't have enough people to fill spots. They need to be realistic about their hiring goals or their job descriptions. But these are things that it's almost like you set it and forget it. And unless somebody actually has the wherewithal to come out and update these things, you're, it never gets fixed and they just kind of languish. It's almost like a house that never gets repaired and it falls into disrepair. Our London says, ideally, I'd like to see our roles not exist, just like there are no operating systems really in your org. Tech people just know or learn it. Okay. Yeah. Does that mean we need to build and design smarter systems? I believe a few years back there were self-healing systems. Is that what you're talking about? Where I hope you're not about to tell me we need to embrace more AI and ML and all that bullshit with the blockchains. But I, you know, maybe I'm old and crusty and I don't get it. By the way, for those of you watching this stream, Frank McGovern, organizer of Blue Team Con, really awesome conference. I was not able to go this year because of InfoSec Camp Out, but hopefully I'll be able to buy a ticket for next year. So make sure you follow Blue Team Con. That way you can get the skinny on what's going on next year. Oh, look, 25, 27 August. There you go. So it's in the Chi-Town. It's in Chicago. So go check that out if you want to go to a conference that's really good next year. Kim SX says, yes, there can be a journeyman or an apprenticeship in IT and cybersec that would help so many people who university and cert tracks aren't good for gaining entrance into the field. Kim SX, I agree with that too. I don't think you need a computer science degree and $50,000 worth of student debt to get into IT or security. I mean, if you can have a computer network at home, you can work at a company. That's my opinion. You can also work as a programmer. I don't think you need a CS or double E degree from a university to be a developer. Obviously, tools like GitHub and Linux. There are a lot of open source SDKs out there that will give you those opportunities that you can work on or work with or build your body of knowledge outside of the traditional learning sphere. Listening to podcasts that aren't ours, or following along on YouTube tutorials or what have you. I'm still probably fairly old school, which is why I'm doing the Harvard Business School stuff. But I do believe at some point you might need to go to university. But again, the class that I'm taking is only $1,700, which is a damn sight better than the $50,000 or whatever it is that's going to take you to get a bachelor's degree. So, Lady P says every programmer MIS takes an operating system class under CSEE. I say every, but I'm old, maybe not anymore. See, I actually went to University of Phoenix for my IT degree, so I could not tell you, Lady P. I just know I did a 5-week course in Java, and that's all the programming I think I got at that time. But yeah, it's just, I think we take, I don't want to say I think we take security too seriously, but I think we take ourselves too seriously, which is one reason why we feel that there's, or we feel that gatekeeping needs to occur, right? Or we interview people with the idea that we're trying to disqualify them from taking jobs. I don't go into an interview with somebody when I'm interviewing them with a no. It's always a yes, and I have to find some reason why I should not hire them. So far, I've done probably 30 plus interviews in my career, and no, those two people I didn't actually interview or hire, but I knew them, and I'd say there was only maybe one or two people that I actually said yes to that later found out they weren't a good fit or what have you. Chemisec, got my associates in cybersec, got no programming, all the programming I learned from my bachelor's of science in chemistry. Well, chemistry does need what, like Python, and I think I saw somebody say they need things like R, and in statistical, there's some some big data and some statistical analysis there. But I mean, yeah, I can imagine needing some kind of programming language in chemistry to and higher math as well. So. So yeah, I mean there are a ton of little infosec isms that we should probably challenge. MATLAB, that's the other one I was thinking of. Thank you, Chemisec. Yeah, MATLAB, Python, R, yeah, quantum chemistry. Holy shit. What do you need? Quantum chemistry? Come on, that's not a real thing. Really? Quantum chemistry. Oh shit. Oh my goodness. Okay. It's double. It's got two columns in it, and people are writing on stuff. Oh my goodness. Okay. That's a thing. Okay. I will put that all up in here. So, goodness. Okay. I'm gonna grab that tweet as well so people can pop that in there. So we're going to learn about some quantum chemistry. Very powerful tool to study the properties of molecules and their reactions. Recent years' development in quantum chemistry methods. This only happens when I read. We had quantum chemistry back in the 80s when I was doing my PhD. Oh, shit. No kidding, Lady P. Okay. I'm just some hick from the sticks in Missouri who joined the Navy and learned a little bit of IT as I went along. So I did not know that quantum chemistry was a thing. So yeah, that's pretty sweet. So okay, I will have to go and check. So they're using like tarot symbols and shit up in here. Greek symbols or whatever. I'm just messing. Not tarot symbols, but Greek symbols. Yeah, very nice. Consider it a subset of quantum mechanics. Well, sure, quantum mechanics is all about how the very, very small work at the subatomic level. So that would make sense that subatomic boils up into atoms, which boil up into, proteins and, all kinds of things. So it makes sense. Makes sense. I mean, ions is pretty much electrons that are missing from the shells of their constituent parts. So you've got water that has an extra ion or missing an electron. So you've got that going on. A lot of Greek. Inorganic chemistry and quantum chemistry is all Greek to me. Yep. So yeah, that's. I played with a little measuring light waves, and through yeah, I did some of that for science project in elementary school. So, but yeah, so I mean, going back to everything that we were working on before, I don't know what we can do. I mean, we're only one viewer now, I guess, unless somebody's lurking. A bunch of people are lurking. Spectroscopy, that's it. It didn't until you typed it in the screen there when I was looking at it, Chemisec. That's all I saw. So, it if we're going to solve the problems, it's not going to be. Yeah, I don't know what's up, Lady P. It just says there's one viewer, so I don't know what's going on with that. So, it's all right. I probably should stop looking at my Twitch stats because it will screw me up. But I do know that we get some people after the fact watching them, so somebody cares enough to actually watch the streams after the fact. Um, but this is one of those things where we're only going to be able to fix ourselves one company at a time, right? Yeah, Kimisek, I don't know what's going on with the active stuff, but we as people. Oh, that's cool. Okay. Well, welcome to our other 7 lurkers. So please feel free to type something in the chat window. There are no wrong answers here. As you can tell, I'm just talking out my ass on some things, but others, we'd love to hear your insights. So I think, with regards to things like hiring practices, do we hire well? When was the last time, I'll ask that question. When was the last time you looked at the job descriptions for your own job? I mean, assuming you don't live at a big. There, yeah, see Kimisek. Assuming you don't work for a big company and that your HR's got an HR or some shit like that. When was the last time your organization or you actually reviewed your job descriptions? Because I've always heard it that your job descriptions are what is expected of you. Kind of well, yeah, Lady P, you write your job description because you're you're at you have a certain set of skills and you have a particular set of skills, and there is no one like you. I'm not meaning that to be a flatterer, but you are breadth and depth. I mean, that's what you are. So you know a lot about a lot, and I say that with no malice or what have you. But we being security people have to think about what's important in our org, and if that is we constantly bitch and complain that we don't have people or we're shorthanded and we need more headcount, we need to look at what we're doing to hire people. Well, Kimisek, I'm not sure if you or who you were asking. Oh, you're asking Lady P that. I have no idea, so I'll let y'all have that little discussion. But we're going to need to solve our problem, but it's not going to be our thought leaders and our thought, our professional con speakers who are going to be helping us. I'm actually thinking about, after B-Side San Diego, not going to any more conferences again. The plain fact of the matter is, I don't think InfoSec cons are good. And I don't care which one it is. I don't think they do us any favors. Yeah, I know. I know. I know. And I'll tell you why I'm thinking this. How many of you work at a company that, or you've seen, like, oh, Lady P. So we go to InfoSec conferences. We hear professional con speakers and maybe a handful of people who don't speak regularly, and maybe 1 or 2 people who've never spoken at a conference before talk about tools they've released. Let me tell you about a problem that we have in InfoSec. Or here's something I did for the lulz. Great. Then you have those companies that are big enough that they have their own internal conferences, security conferences, or maybe they do it to RSA comes to mind. They're a company, but they also put on a conference. Or Kimisek, you gotta watch. You have to watch yourself. Yeah. I appreciate the self censoring. I'm going to allow it only because um, I'm going to allow it only because it was self moderated. Um, yeah. We have a problem with an echo chamber, right? Um, there is a we we echo chamber too much, I think, and for companies that actually where they have their own conferences, they're echo chambering inside of echo chambers, and if I made the comment about that at my work. I was like, wow, we have a conference for people to attend inside our own companies. Wow. That's mighty echo chambery. And it was like, I didn't, I, it was like blasphemy pretty much is what Lady P said. It was blasphemous. They were like, well, why not? Why shouldn't we have something internally to talk about this? I'm like, you're not solving any real problems except inside our own organization. And are we really solving anything by having those conferences? For networking, yeah, I can see that. Yeah. But the uh, I have to mess with that one later. Um, so yeah, I worry that even conferences like I've ran is most of the cons. So Lady P says most of the cons are full of professional talk givers. How do you weigh the value of that against hundreds of thousands of people who've been in the trenches for decades who aren't professional talk givers? Again, Lady P, very, very astute point there. My point was, yeah, it's very, very similar to that. It's like hundreds of thousands of people who've been in the trenches for decades. Not only are they not professional talk givers, they don't go to conferences. Or if they do, they're conferences that directly affect them, like ISC squared. They'll go to an ISC squared conference, and I saw some of this when I was talking, because when Wim Rimas was trying to get on the electoral slate for the ISC squared board, and I posted something up into the Reddit, CISSP Reddit. I think I had a Twitch, a Twitter stream thread on it. The discussion inside the CISSP Reddit was mostly apathy. They were apathetic. They were like, "Why do I give a shit about the IC squared board? Why do I, what, And I was like, well, look, this is your community. This is your certification. Should you not care about the people running the organization?" They're like, "Yeah, no, I've got it. I'm good." And I was like, I'm having trouble even maintaining my own CISP at this point because I just don't see any value in the CISP anymore. And they were like, "You're stupid. Don't, you're dumb. You're never going to get, you're never going to move along in your career." And, I get where they're coming from, but the vast majority of InfoSec is not the con givers. They're not the con goers. They're not people who go to these conferences. They're very much like Lady P says, they're in the trenches, who will never see this stream. Hell, they don't even know about podcasts. They're the same people that are like scrambling to try to find 40 credits every year for their CISP, or their, 25 credits for their CISA or whatever, or, trying to figure out where to get that information because, oh my God, they're, I gotta get 40 because, I've got to, I'm heads down. I'm working 60, 70 hours a week at their job, and, they don't have time to go to, ShmooCon or Vegas, and they probably know about DEF CON and Black Hat. That's probably the only things they know about, because it's just a force of nature to not know about DEF CON and Black Hat. But yeah, we in our organizations in InfoSec are we're insular. We're insulated in such a way that you can follow 30 people on Twitter and pretty much have every point of view that's available. One reason I've stopped following anybody over 10,000 likes on Twitter or follows on Twitter is like, I know that one of the other 730 people that I'm following, and some of those folks, are legitimate security people who, don't talk at conferences. The vast majority of those folks will retweet whatever the 30 people or 40 people who are considered thought leaders in InfoSec out there. And yeah, I don't know why the sudden epiphany in the last year, or maybe it's just something that a lot of people are afraid to say, and I know that the vast majority of the folks on Twitter are good people. There are, but it is a really weird thing to see the same 30 people with the same points of view, and we hold them up to that point of view and nothing gets done, right? So I'll have more probably to talk about this, and I would love to hear about it on our Slack. So discord.gg. Oh my god. discord.gg/breaksec. We also have our Slack. It's still going on. We have a code of conduct on there and what have you. Kimisek says, I was burned out on conferences even before I decided to switch to InfoSec for the same reasons. Kimisek, what kind of conferences did you go to before you came to InfoSec? And why did you come to InfoSec? That's the other thing. It's like we still have like web conferences and people. I just saw something today. It was like, oh, so you want to get into InfoSec? And I'm like, no. Why are we still having so you want to get into InfoSec webinars and shit? I'm like, you're already in security. You just don't write your resume to say so. But yeah, what kind of conferences did you go to, Kimisek? Were they developer conferences or were they more professional conferences? The one thing that gets me is it's like, hey, I could go to a project management conference. Oh, they're stuffy as shit. I mean, that's the only reason I like going to InfoSec conferences is because it's very casual. But yeah, a lot of these like ISC squared conferences, and it's not just ISC squared, but like the professional conferences, like what was the name of it? Not Secure World or something like that, where all the CISOs get up and get together. It's all real suit and tie and everything, and I was like, ugh. I just don't know where we fit anymore for some of us who are like trying to figure out our way in the world. So I went to chemistry conferences. Whoa, they are, wow. Okay. Chemistry conferences. Okay. I would imagine things like Usenix, I would hope is a bit more casual and a bit more like high level InfoSec stuff. But I'd imagine, there's quite a few folks that are primarily professional presentation givers. They have grad students do all the research. Okay. Yeah, that would be rough. I don't imagine they have an open bar, and their CTFs probably suck. So, yeah. So we were doing InfoSec campout, and the talks for us was pretty much decided to switch over to InfoSec due to the fact that the only job I can find with my chemistry degree was a tutoring job. Oh, God, that sucks. I'm sorry about that, Kimisek. That's That's rough. Well, I appreciate you being here. Thank you for coming and joining our cadre of people as you see somebody who is a little on the surly side and disenfranchised with our industry. Try to tear it down. So um, I think that a lot of people who are wanting to get into infosec don't realize what they're getting into. To be honest, I think we try to paint it a pretty picture when it should not have that pretty a picture. So, common story. I was an astrophysicist. Oh, that's so cool. See, goddamn, Lady P, Lady P, breadth and depth. You know what I mean? Damn. My wife, the good Doctor Break, was trying to help me find, you know, positions and potential jobs outside of security. And I was like, I don't even know what that's like. And she was like, well, what do you want to do? And I was like, great. It's like 11th grade all over again with the career counselor and shit. The only thing I could think of was the thing that actually gives me any joy, and it's content creation. What content that is, I don't know. But I've been a web developer enough to know that there are some pitfalls there where I've had people say, oh, I want this background to be black instead of green or some shit like that, where you're going to run into things like that. And unfortunately, I would take quite a bit of a pay cut becoming either a community manager or somebody who creates content on the reg. So I actually looked at like multimedia, like directing stuff, or learning and development, that kind of stuff as well. Speaking of which, I am currently starting to look for work in networking or security, at least one where I can social engineer my past jobs as experience, where even entry level jobs seem to require X years of experience. Again, Kimisek, my problem there. It's like we should be trying to find ways to hire people and then training them up. I think I think that there's a disconnect there, where it's like people don't think that there's still loyalty in the world. But I think if you take somebody like Kimisek, not to say that you're inexperienced, but if you take somebody with some experience and understanding of basic ideas of security, you can train them up. We're going to Scottish Joint. Okay. All right, that's cool. Drive safe. Um, sorry, the Scottish Joint is McDonald's. So that's our little in joke. If somebody has a I wouldn't say bare minimum, but I would say if they understand hires noobs and see, I would love for that to be what that really means, Lady P. Unfortunately, unless you are at a startup, I don't think that can ever be a thing, right? I would love to hire noobs here. I would love to hire anybody who threw their resume at me and can even tell me, you know, I don't have shit in security, but I want to get into it because I think it looks like a lot of fun and I want to help people. Okay, great. There should be, this shouldn't be difficult. There should be a way to go from zero to not hero, but somebody you should be able to take somebody off the street and say, put them in a sock or something like that and say, we want you to keep an eye out for these 5 things. And then next week, it's almost like the way I learned dancing. They'll give you 3 steps, and then you do those 3 steps, and they're like, we're going to add one more step. And it's like, okay, we got 4 steps now. So we learn these 4 steps. And then it's like, we've got 5 steps. Now we're going to learn these 5 steps. I don't know why we can't do that for security. I don't know why. And that should be like junior, mid, senior, or junior, junior 1, junior 2, mid, senior, or something like that, where it's like, we give you 5 things. You do these 5 things. Right. Exactly, Lady P. Yeah, look out for these 5 things. If Complete Noob says, why these 5 things? Let me tell you why. These are the things that we care about in our organization. We care about, not only, multiple login failures, but then we worry about that same login all of a sudden working. There's one, that kind of thing. Um, you know, or we're looking for incidents where lateral movement might be a thing. You know, you pick 5 things and you say, look at those things. And if you have 15 people who are looking at 5 things, maybe they're not all looking at the same 5 things. You might have an extra, 15 people. You don't have to pay them $140,000 a year. That will come later for them. But pay them a living wage, obviously. But yeah, we just don't do a lot of things right in our industry, and the problem is, I think a lot of us don't know how to make change. Even at my own org, I have no idea how I would get that started. We're just, I have ideas, and I would love to bring them up to people. I'm not afraid to bring them up to people. It's just, I already know, it already feels like I already know that the answer is going to be, oh, well, no, we can't do that because reasons. And my thing is, we have this major initiative where we're trying to hire a bunch of people to do something. We're going to be looking for folks with like 5 years of fucking experience. And I'm like, look, you're wanting them to do something that doesn't take 5 years of experience. I only hire noobs. The downside is that they're going to leave me in a few years. That's the burden of doing that. Lady P, that is what exactly, what did Frank say? Somebody said, where is it? I think somebody had replied to him and said, well, what's that old adage? We train them and we don't give them training and then they don't leave, or versus, we give them training and they leave. It's like, yeah, they're going to leave you. Actually, we had April Murdoch, CISO of Seattle Public Schools. We were talking to her about that, and she's like, yeah, I know that if I bring in somebody and I train them up, they're going to just go and work for the Microsofts of the world that can pay them 2 to 3 times as much. And she's like, I have to know that that's going to be a thing. The thing is, we can either teach them properly now, so when they go to another place, they can learn, they've got a good footing, or we can just, I don't know. Yeah. I mean, Kimisek says, and those things vary from company to company, even then sometimes from context to context. LVVWD has different concerns from NV Energy. I don't know your acronym, but I will take the meaning as one company has different concerns from a different company. So there you go. But yeah, I don't know how this got on to me being all ranty and shit, but oh, there you go. Yeah, exactly. Okay, so you're absolutely correct. But both of those companies or organizations are both critical infrastructure for the Nevada and Las Vegas area. So attacks on one could be successful on the other. But you're absolutely correct. Those threat models for those two organizations might be different depending on what kind of controls or things they have in place. So one of my things that I've been working on to kind of get outside of security, was networking in San Diego, and going to B-Side San Diego is one of those things that I'm going to go do. But there's a couple of Discords out there, like San Diego Tech Coffee, which I'm on. Apparently, and I actually know one of the guys who's organizing it because I was in the Navy with him. He was a commander and I was a second class. But it's all entrepreneurial work, which I'm like, one way that we can help stem the tide of, people with security issues would be to kind of catch them when they're still in the startup mode, maybe. And, if that's something that interests them. So I'm actually kind of talking to them, thinking of that hack last year with the San Francisco Bay Area. Really? There was a hack in the San Francisco Bay? Well, I was going to go Google San Francisco Bay Area hack, but yeah, there's so many companies in the Silicon Valley area of the Bay Area that it probably would be, a bunch of Uber stuff or what have you. But so as the thought leader here, because I have the microphone and the voice, but everybody in chat as well. we still have room to make improvements in our organizations. We just need to figure out how we can make that happen. And I think some of that is to be fearless. In some cases, it may require us to write a point paper or something, which I abhor writing. But unfortunately, my company's big on the writings. I'm actually thinking about right now, having just ranted about this for the last 45 minutes, to write up a proposal on a training pipeline thing. May not go anywhere, and it may be, hopefully, what would be nice is if they take some part of it and can move along with it, which would be great to see. But I hate that when I have an idea and it's like, oh, now I got to put my money where my mouth is, and I'm going to have to start writing up one thing I am well experienced with is paper writing yeah. So Kimisek, that's one of my real, not weaknesses, but something that I can write a paper. I can bullshit with the best of them, but it's, I tend to get to the point, which means if it's like I'm trying to write a 4-page paper, I have to then, stretch. And I can, sometimes I can easily sum things up in a page and a half. And for things like a proposal paper that has to be 6 pages and formatted properly, that doesn't work well for me. So yeah, that's something that I need to work on as a GPT-3 for the win. Yes, Rob. Or, when I was that kind of shit worked in high school, make the font bigger, make the 1-inch margins 1.2 inches, so it's just a little bit skinnier. The top and bottom margins are now 1.25 inches, that kind of thing. Yeah, it's great. Yeah. I have the opposite problem. How do I condense it to only 4 pages? Kimisek, we have that problem at our workplace where we have these things called 3-pagers or 12, 7-pagers, and it's supposed to fit in 3 pages, but it ends up being in 10, or the 7-pager ends up being a 15-pager, and it's like, you don't have to put everything in there, right? Writing, you know what? If there is embracing the suck, if there is a writing class in that Harvard Business School, I might end up having to want to take that, even though it will fucking kill me. But yeah. So yeah, I think I'm going to have to stop going to conferences. I stopped going to the trainings they give at conferences because I realized as a TPM it was a waste of my time, and I was just taking up a space that somebody legitimately could be using that for. Yeah, I'm going to have to figure out what I'm going to do to help. Remember for my differential equations class, I got that. Super Lolly, yeah, resubscribe for 6 months. Yeah, thank you so much, Super Lolly. Appreciate you. Got that 25% discount, I think, for September. So that's awesome. Thank you so much for that. I chose the research paper and struggled to make it not longer than 12 pages. Yeah, Lolly. Kimisek, my issue on writing papers is I will tend to put what did he call that? A hanging paragraph or something? But it was like, I would say, for when I was writing papers for Leviathan, when I was a consultant / PM there, it would be like, during our investigation, and my boss would be like, get rid of that shit. They know you're investigating it. So don't write during our investigation. Just continue, with the words. We discovered this. Don't say we discovered, during our investigation, or, I was trying to work, sometimes it was like, well, if I don't write a page and a half as the executive summary, then are they getting their value out of that? And then it's like, well, okay, I got to stretch. So yeah. Plus, my whole company has like a thing on writing style, which I've tried to read through, but it's just boring. So, yeah, writing a better paper probably wouldn't hurt me as a TPM. So that's something I probably need to redouble my efforts on and learn how to write gooder. So write more better. So my junior and senior years have trained all that filler stuff out of me. All yeah. So when you say 12 pages there, Kimisek, was that like 9 pages plus appendices? Do you count those 12 pages as part of the paper? Or is it 12 solid pages plus appendices? I'm going to poke around here on something while we're talking through some of the writing and stuff here. Been futzing around with Windows Subsystem for Android, mainly because I want to play Android games on my computer without looking at a small ass screen all day. So was there it is. So it's fun. Oh god damn it. There we go. So this is the box that's not supposed to run Windows 11 on it. Depends on the target audience. That professor excluded the appendices. Kim professor would have included it. Do they count you off if you're over the page limit versus under the page limit? Because I actually had some papers when I was at University of Phoenix. It was like had to be more than 1,000 words or some shit like that, and it was like or less than 7 pages or something like. And it was like it was hard to sometimes put all that into 7 pages, especially if it was like a team project where somebody decided to write 5 pages on something, and it was like, oh well, we've got 3 more people who have 3 pages of their own, and this person, well, all this stuff is important, and I'm like, yeah, but we're gonna get counted off for having more than 7 pages of content. Is it? Did you ever get counted off for that? In the page range, this was 10 to 12. Okay. Very cool. Yeah. Yeah, I just, for me, it's like my mind. The argument is that you really understand the material, you can put it in a paragraph abstract or fill an encyclopedia. That's true. When I was writing papers, and to be fair, and I will say this, that there's going to come a point where you're going to have to write papers in your career. It's all well and good if you want to pop shells all day, and everyone loves popping shells on boxes and shit. But then it's like, especially if you go into consultancy, you're going to have to write shit, either copying and pasting from what they already have in their system, which leads to errors, especially if maybe the copy pasted text doesn't make complete sense. You're going to have to elaborate on exactly what you did to fix or find or address or mitigate this finding or what have you. So being able to write somewhat eloquently is going to be key. Kimisek, I got marked off for having a presentation of more than 15 slides. Wow, that sucks, Kimisek. I could have fit it in 2 pages if the professor didn't want full-on mathematical proofs. Okay. What if you're doing a presentation to the board and they've allotted you 15 minutes, 1 minute a slide? If you have 16 slides, what then? Well, Lady P, if, I guess it depends on what you're wanting to talk about. This would be almost like triaging what is important versus what isn't important to the board. I guess you would, you might actually, in my opinion, it would be very much similar to findings or what stack rank what they find important, and then if you're you get down to about 14 and a half minutes and you've got a slide and a half left, you'd be like, well, those aren't all that important, and we can always. I don't know what the format of the presentations are. It may not be that you can do that, but it would be like, stack rank what you want to tell them first. That way you're not stuck with the most important thing, like at the very last, and you only give 30 seconds for, hey, we got breached last week, but hey, no problems. Okay, thanks, bye, or whatever. I would say stack ranking them would be the most likely, but I'm not a C level. Triaging, yeah. Triaging is not just a security thing. So, um, anyway, nobody can see that. So I've been like I said, futzing around with the Android subsystem stuff. I want to see if I can do some testing of Android apps as well. I have some other thoughts about doing some code review, but also some AppSec stuff as well. This was a pretty good video that I watched on memory basics for reverse engineering, which may come in handy for our class on Friday with CyberSec Diva, which we're going to record. We're not going to stream it. I will upload it to Twitch, but CyberSec Diva will be doing our class with us on malware analysis. The OA Labs folks are fairly decent content. They got a ton of it. You can go and, practical calling conventions for reverse engineers and assembly. I haven't watched that one, but it's on my list. I'm looking forward to the malware analysis class because that's also something I'd like to continue doing once I've learned the basics here on our stream. And let me see, where is the... I'm glad y'all can't see the Discord. Sitting in the green room and suddenly poof, the stream goes away. So yeah, Lady P, I realized I hadn't updated the stream information. Somebody didn't, I wouldn't say somebody didn't tell me, but I apparently was using the month of August in September. So the last 4 or 5 streams that I've done had all like 15 August or 15, instead of 15 September. So I'm going to have to try to get rid of the dates so that way I can keep them all straight on that. So, where was the, so I was looking at, yes. So I was trying to find some source code on GitHub that I could do code review for. And I started with C because I figured that one might be fairly simple. There's enough tutorials out there on how to do C. And I found this employee management system that is in C code, and it's not there's no GUI, but it does employment management and in a terminal. And I don't know if, to be honest, I read through here. I didn't see if, this person says it's used by anybody. I think maybe they use it, or maybe it was a proof of concept kind of thing. But yeah, I just found this quite interesting. It does appear that there's, some items in here, but so there's a github.o, github.c. So here's the 700 lines of C code for this. And ideally, because I don't have to, download this and, run git something, because this hasn't been touched since 2019, since in the pre-pandemic time. I'm hoping this person is still alive and didn't succumb to the pandemic. But yeah, so, we have code that goes through here. Where's the... I've got my other computer on here as well. Let me see. Where's the... No, that's not it. Oh, that helps. Let me see. Unsafe. I found out Rust has an unsafe feature inside of it that allows you to do 4 or 5 different things that are considered unsafe, and they call it a superpower. Bad code is called a superpower now. Bad coding standards. Okay, so copy. I'm going to put this into the Discord so people will have it. There we go. I will click on it up here. I'm doing it the old-fashioned way. I'm copying things between computers. Created as side projects and completely forgot about it, more likely. You might be right, Super Lolly. I mean, there's probably a ton of stuff in GitHub that is just not, used once, or, was a good idea and then it was abandoned. So, so they were talking about bad coding standards. I was trying to find examples for like code audits and stuff. So I was finding, yeah, that was a good one there. Unit tests. Scroll back up into the program management. I was actually looking through some of this for insecure methods by which to call. So insecure C types like fgets. That's it. Yeah, functions. Insecure C functions. That's what I was trying to think of. Insecure C functions. All of these things that I've looked up are on my other laptop. So yeah, so the unsafe functions get strcat, strcpy, sprintf. So what I was trying to do is just find stuff, at the beginning here to, oh, that's actually pretty good. So this is a CS course at JMU. Okay. And so pay particular attention to the list near the bottom of unsafe functions. You're forbidden from using these on CS 261 projects. That's actually heartening. I like that. So whoever wrote this, is like at least telling people, hey, you can't use these unsafe functions. So you've got atoy, atol, atof, gets, strcpy, strcat, and sprintf. These are safer alternatives. I like the fact they said safer, not the safest alternatives. There's still ways to make bad code from those, but you're doing the right thing. So let's go see if this person has done any naughty bits. Okay, so we're using fgets here, which is okay, safer alternatives. All right. Unsafe in Rust doesn't disable safety checks. It just lets you make operations directly on memory that's memory safe, just relying on the programmer to handle memory in a valid way and only within that block. That's true. Let me copy the Rust stuff over because I was looking at Rust as well as an option. There we go. And then that's not the right one. There we go. The one thing I will say about trying new things, and not to go back to what we were talking about with what's wrong with InfoSec, is trying new things is scary, and maybe that's what a lot of us don't want to have to deal with, is that uncertainty. Making a stream, for instance, was very scary. I waited 8 months before I actually started doing it. So here's the 5 things that they say not to use: dereferencing a raw pointer, calling an unsafe function or method, access or modify mutable static variable, implementing an unsafe trait, and access fields of unions. Fields of unions. Don't know what that means. Did they mean to leave the S out off of union? Or let me see. Unions. Oh, we're going right back over here. A union declaration uses the same syntax as a struct declaration, except with union in place of the struct. Oh, well, that makes complete sense. The keyword is union. The S makes it plurals. Okay. Yeah, I didn't know if it was one union or unions. Yeah, union structures. Yeah. All right, so the key property of unions is that all fields in a union share common storage. Ah. As a result, writes to one field of a union can overwrite its other fields, and the size of a union is determined by the size of its largest field. Well, there you go. There you go. So that's why access fields of unions, unions. I think they intended to pluralize the union identifier in a way to emphasize that the pluralization should not be used when calling union. Right. Yeah, there's a physical space there, so yeah. So, and to your point, Lady P, they did say that down here. That's why I was like, I knew what Lady P. I knew Lady P knew what the hell she was talking about immediately, because she basically said the exact same thing here that they said. So, and they said, in addition, it does not mean that it's unnecessarily dangerous. Yeah, they leave it up to the programmer to fuck themselves in that respect. So, use at your own risk. Don't do anything stupid. And they say mistakes are fallible, but keep your unsafe blocks small. You'll be thankful later when you investigate memory bugs. So, so that's a good thing. If you know there's Rust program, if you're using a lot of Rust in your programming and you've got a memory issue, the first thing you should look for is the unsafe operations. If somebody's decided to put in an unsafe area, and definitely try to minimize the amount of code or the number of unsafe blocks that are in your system. So, sorry, got off on a thing there. So it was pretty good. So this is the entire book on Rust programming language, written by Steve Klabnik and Carol Nichols, with contributions from the Rust community. That's kind of cool. So it's a crowdsourced one, very similar to the DFIR book that is available online. Let me see, where's the book at? Oh, that's an interesting error message. This one came out yesterday. Oracle Cloud admits users could access other customer data. Lack of permissions verification and the attached volume API caused a lot of trouble. I was actually looking for the DFIR book that was crowdsourced by the DFIR Discord, which is an excellent resource. Yeah, Lady P, one of the things that I've always wanted to do was do programming, but I just, they're like, oh, find something that you need to do and, write a program about it. And I'm like, it's just easier for me to go to Google and figure out what I need, because there's no original ideas out there. So, everybody's already thought of exactly what I want to do. So I just need to Google it. Right. And it's kind of disheartening, because it's like I'm not making anything new. I'm just basically rehashing what other folks have done, which is probably why things like Stack Overflow are, out there and are a real thing. Copy pasting text and shit. So, OCI, basically any user read and write data belonging to other OCI customers. Jesus, that hurts. To a plebeian like me, that sounds like a godlike ability. Yeah, that's true. Nothing new since Ada Lovelace. I mean, they always say there's more than one way to do something, but I mean, sometimes the only way to do it is that way. I just don't. I hate saying that there's nothing that I would do, but it's like, it's either I want to do something really simple, or I want to do something that's going to take me years to try to do, and would take forever. It's just I can't find anything that's simple enough to continue through. So, anyway, so you can look through here. Oh, here's a printf. Oh, that's one of the bad things, isn't it? Printf. Well, it's definitely not sprintf. Is printf printf an unsafe function? Printf unsafe C function. I'm new to C, so I started playing around with some code. I have a bug in my code. I believe using printf pass is not safe because it can overwrite the value and hence not safe for the user. Printf only writes to standard out, so it's unclear what is unsafe here. Ah, okay. Okay. Lady P. No, printf is fine. sprintf is not so much. Okay. F-flush, standard in, fgets. Standard in fget takes an extra page break or a line break character as an input. Stir length. Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go back through and read some more of this, but I found this like a couple days ago. Hadn't read through all of it yet, but it looks like they're obviously collecting information like enter salary, enter present address. This almost feels like it was somebody's homework, maybe an employee management system. So they were, doing like a CS course themselves, and they built this employee management system as part of their code homework. Maybe I don't want to say I can't imagine somebody using a 700 line piece of C code for an entire employment management system. But I've worked in InfoSec for 20 years, so I've seen a ton of shit that is, very hinky like this. This may work exactly for what they need it to. It just doesn't scale well. I didn't see where they were actually storing this information, if it was in memory or they're using some kind of flat file. Looks like they are, maybe they are using flat files for this, which, obviously brings up the idea of roles-based access issues. You don't want to be kept up with nightmares, Lady P. Somebody's using this somewhere. One of our third parties may be using this as their EMS. No. So they, password, they're looking for a 13 character password. That's not awful. Minimum of 8 characters looks like, or less than 8 characters is bad. So 8, 32, and 8. That's interesting. Okay. Also, as a former programmer, this isn't pro level code. I'm trying to be nice. EMS is the thing to build if you learn programming. Really, Superlight? In what way? Is it like, are you trying to say it's like table stakes or something? What is this? I don't know. Who's reviewing what Thursday? My Taiwan team is coming online right about now, so so yeah, there's looks like they had, I've seen Python course, Java courses, C++, all asked to build EMS systems to test their understanding, especially in OOP. Oh, that's good insight, Super Lolly. So yeah, this may actually be somebody's homework that they created. The comments here though, that's interesting. I don't know why they would have their, maybe that they just put that in for, it looks like maybe after every page, page of code or something, like they've printed this out. So after every so many lines, let me see, that's 105, 141. Yeah, at least they've put in their proper, they've got some remarks, they got some comments. Oh, I will. Oh. Okay. Yeah, put me on the calendar. There we go. Well, I mean, so far I haven't seen anything out of the ordinary that, they're not using any unsafe functions, which is great. I would be worried about some of these like stir links and stuff like that. I'd have to, I'd want to go in and look around and check the, could I put, if I ran this as an actual person, so I'd have to pull this down and compile it and then go, can I put in a name of, 800 characters long for the first name or something like that to see if there's any buffer overflow issues, or it's not taking anything over 50 characters, for instance. I don't even know if that's what 50 means there. Yeah, I mean, there's scanf, yeah. So okay, thank you. Might need some additional context for this. Any docs you can send over would be great. Thank you. All right. Yeah. I actually still have. I did. I had a PHP book that when I was just a little shaver in InfoSec, the book was like step one. You're gonna do this. You're gonna set up a content management system using PHP, and they were like, yeah, you're gonna use global variables and stuff like this. And I was reading this and I was doing research and online, and the online was like, don't do what it says in this book. This book's completely shit. And I was like, God, I hope this isn't my. Oh, I bought the book with complete shit in it. So that was when I realized that I was going to have to go and get a better book or something like that. And but yeah, it was like that was back when they were still learning the wrong way to do it. Jill, okay. Basically, yeah. Well, I mean, Super Lolly, the fact that at least some professor gets it right, where it's like, don't use any of these, use these instead, was nice to see. And of course, they use CCP reference. Okay, so that's a good one. I don't know why that looks all stretched out and everything, and that's a really small font. Come on, dog, get that. There we go. Stole and STR toll, turtle. It's a turtle. Interprets any integer in a byte string pointed by str. If so, for those of you who are on, yeah, stringed along. Yeah, that makes more sense. If you know or have any source code or anything, or hey, this looks like a good project we could do code audit on or something like that, send it along. I'd love to see what we can do for that. It doesn't have to be C, doesn't have to be Rust. What I'd love to do is find more sites that are like the bad coding standards or something, where they talk about not doing specific things. Maybe finding a linter and understanding why the linter is the way it is, because the idea is using those linters means that you're following some kind of proper code guidance or what have you. Not necessarily whether or not you're using the right methods or anything in this case. So yeah, like these kinds of things, these little things. So and yeah, it may end up being that the code audit thing doesn't work, but I'll just go and buy a nice book, or get the latest copy of How to Learn Python the Hard Way, and we'll find a project and we can all sit down and create EMSs together or something for homework. So we'll see what happens, but we got a lot of options, and we're still playing around with some things. So I think I need to go. My wife and daughter will be back from the Scottish joint soon, and we'll have to be making dinner. So yeah, hope everyone had a good day. Oh, you know what? God, I don't even know how many people we got in here. So 1 second. There it is. Okay. No. There it is. Okay, cool. I am looking around here. Okay. Come on, man. No. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna go. Hope everyone has a good day, and be back on Friday with Cybersec Diva. I'll probably be doing a little show here. Oh, for those of you interested in geochem, Freckled Science will be live in half an hour. Is that a Twitch stream? Twitch. Freckled Science. Oh my God. I'm horrible. I'm hideous. Oh yeah. Okay. That's pretty sweet. Okay. Shut up, Brian. Okay. Cool. Yeah, infinite recursion. Well, I just followed them. Thank you so much, Kimisek. If they were on right now, I would join them. For our, I think that's it. Yep. Okay. All right. Well, I just want to raid people up, so I'm just trying to get my numbers up and everything. So we're gonna raid Al Hazard. Otherwise, hope everyone has a good day. I'll be back on Friday with a regular stream, and then later that night I'll be uploading class number 2 of our malware analysis course. We're gonna record it on Zoom and then upload it just to make sure that we can futz around with it a little bit if there's any issues, or take an edit if we need to for content. So. Hope everyone has a good rest of their day and weekend. And you know what? Feedback is important. If I was completely out in left field with some of my rantiness about InfoSec, please hit us up on our Discord and hit us up on our Slack. And I'd love to debate it with you. I'd love to find out if there's any alternatives, what we can do better, what we should stop doing. I mean, some of the things I mentioned were fairly blasphemous to begin with, but yeah, would love to hang out and talk some more. So. Discord or Slack, or hit us up on Twitter. So cool. All right. We'll talk soon, y'all. Bye. Gonna be hitting up Al Hazard here. Okay. All right. Have a good evening. I'm not gonna raid anybody. So talk to y'all soon. Bye.